Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode with me, Shashank Udupa. And in today's episode, we are going to talk about something that everyone in the industry is saying that Shashank, are we entering World War III? And I don't think we're entering World War III at this moment. But let's look a little bit beyond all the noise that is going on in the market, right? If you look at the current market, the way warfare has changed is completely different from what it was 5 to 10 years ago. If you remember the India Pakistan war, was barely fought with any soldiers, but it was mainly warfare with respect to air and land, and now a little bit of navy. Now, if we look at the entire Iran war that is happening with Israel and US, it is mostly being headed by the drones, or it is again headed by warfare, interceptors, ballistic missiles, and things like this, right? Now, we know that in the future, soldiers are not going to be used much, and most of the war is going to only happen with drones, right? And the whole concept of US versus Iran, where they use low cost drones to intercept the high end missiles that cost a lot. That is something that is becoming very interesting to look at in the future, because now cost advantage is going to play out massively. Now, if you look at what has happened with this entire war, the biggest problem that everyone is facing is the oil markets, right? Now, oil markets have gone up to such a expensive rate that it has become unsustainable for anyone, whether it is US, Israel, Saudi, GCC, India, Asia, anybody, right? The oil prices have gone up so much that it has become unsustainable today to continue the war. Earlier, what used to happen, oil prices were fine and everyone was okay. If you remember the Ukraine Russia war that happened, that was a war in isolation. It had not become a very big war, right? I mean, it is a big war, but it didn't affect the entire world so much. Yes, the Red Sea and all was affected for a while, but it became better very fast. But if you look at this war, the whole globe has got affected because it went from an West Asia war, it started evolving into an energy crisis on a global scale. And that is why even US now is saying, okay, we need to relax a little bit because oil prices shot up a lot, right? Now, some of you guys might have this question that Shashank, why? Right? If oil prices go up, to kya? Matlab, I understand that it might become expensive, but why is it such a big deterrent? Let me explain in simple terms before I go deeper into this video and analyze some interesting companies as well. But if you look at oil, if oil prices go up, then the raw material cost basically goes up. And most countries today import oil, right? They're not oil exporters, they're oil importers. In fact, the countries that export oil, their main revenue is only to export oil, right? So they also want more oil to be sold at cheaper rates, volume plays in, and people like India want oil at cheaper rates. That is why we liked the Russian oil. Now, if India has to go and import very expensive oil in the market, which is at let's say $90 a barrel, then it becomes a problem for India because our deficit will increase. We might have to take some funding externally, or we might not be able to sustain the interest rates, right? I'll tell you why. If oil is expensive, then it puts a big effect on our industries and companies because the raw material cost goes up. If the raw material cost goes up, sometimes some customers or some companies will pass on that cost to people like me and you. Our inflation will go up. Even if they don't pass on the entire cost, they pass on 50% of the cost, then companies' margins will fall. The margins fall, then the revenues will fall. If the revenues will fall, the PAT will fall. If the PAT falls, then the P ratio falls. If the P ratio falls, then the stock price starts falling, and then your whole Nifty starts dragging as well. And this is not just happening in India, it is happening all across the world, and that is what is creating an issue. But if I had to look further down the line, right, if war does become a common factor going ahead, one beautiful thing about this entire war is everyone's realized their strengths and weaknesses. The entire Saudi nations have realized that they were very defenseless at this point and they depended a lot on US. Even India has now realized we need to ramp up our entire defense infrastructure as well. But now, if we look at some very interesting defense companies, let's look at some interesting US companies because now US mein hi pura problem ho raha hai. So let's go to Wested and check some very interesting companies in the US, right? So if you go to the interesting companies here, the major player I'll show you. By the way, this is not a buy or sell recommendation. I am a SEBI registered research analyst, and let me be very clear when I disclose that I do not hold these stocks by the time I'm doing this video, nor will I hold it for the next 5 days because that is the rule of SEBI, right? So one very interesting company you can look at is Lockheed Martin. Okay, so Lockheed Martin is again has been flying. The 10-year return is also good, 3-year, 5-year, 1 year. It is a company that has been doing really well. Even from a fundamental standpoint, the revenues are always going up because US spends most of their money in defense itself. So that is why it keeps going up, and you can see that it has done really, really well over a long period of time. And if you actually look at Lockheed Martin's PPT presentation, you will see that the aeronautics industry is in profit. It has gone up by 6%, operating profit increased by 80%. right? Missiles and fire control. So this is what we have been looking as well. Increased by 18%. Again, full year increased by 14%. And by the way, this is not considering the fact that this war has happened and the new purchases have not come yet. That will come in this quarter's revenue, right? Rotary and mission systems. Okay, very interesting here. And space. Now, I wanted to outline this because tomorrow's war is not just going to be about defense companies. We also need to look at space companies. And today I'm going to show you all of it. I'm going to show you defense companies. I'm going to show you space companies. Anything that is related to war, I will show that to you today. So here, as you can see, there is quite a good amount of revenues in millions in space tech as well. Now, most of us don't even know what is space tech, right? But yes, nowadays a lot of wars are being fought with satellite imagery, jamming, all of that is happening as well. The second company that you can look at is another company called RTX. Okay, now, again, this is a very interesting company, but you see all these companies are free cash flow positive. They are growing very, very, very well. As you can see here, the sales are up. Pratt and Whitney sales are up. Look at this, right? Beautiful. Raytheon, which is the defense surface to air missiles, the one that has gone to Israel. As you can see here, the Raytheon Rafale protection. There's also THAAD systems that you would have seen, but this is something that is there in Israel as well. They have just got an award of 1.2 billion contract to supply to Israel surface to air, and this is something that is going on and on. So now, in fact, more will be there. And whenever a war like this happens, they also have to go and restock their entire supply. So that is again going to happen. If I go back to Vested and show you this company over here, right? This is how the company looks like. Let me change the thing to 1 day. And you will see that all these companies are in massive momentum right now. Both Lockheed Martin is also in momentum. RTX is also in momentum. And again, you will see the returns are also doing really well from a long term time frame. It is not a 1 year, 5 year stock. Even from a 10 year standpoint, is doing well because a lot of wars keep happening. And it's not just a war happening in US. Even if war happens outside US, a lot of people purchase ammunitions from US itself, and that is why it makes a lot of revenue from that perspective, right? Now, basically, RTX, one of the major things that they also produce is the Patriot missile defense system. So that is also good. Interceptors, as you already know, is being used a lot in today's world. Now comes a very interesting company. I don't think many of you guys have heard. It's called Huntington. Okay. See, guys, whatever I'm showing you today is to learn as much as possible. Okay. Don't get too overexcited about everything. It is just to learn as much as possible because we're all here to learn. Profit to aata rahega life mein. But our job is to learn as much as possible in life. Okay. So we will focus on the learning element. So now this is another company and I'll tell you what it does. See, this is also in momentum right now. Again, looking very well. Currently sitting at a 27 current P, $16 billion market cap company. Again, long term has been doing well because the entire market has been going up. And if you look at it from an annual standpoint, went from $9 billion to $12 billion. And if you look at the profit is also going up. Let's see if their EPS has gone up. EPS has gone from 13 to 15. Net income has also gone up as well. And if let's go quickly check the cash flow, beautifully free cash flow positive. So no problem on the free cash flow as well, right? So again, very, very, very interesting company from this perspective. Now, what does this company do? So basically, this company is US's largest military ship builder, naval, right? Because most people have this narrative that say wars are fought in the air, but they are sustained from the sea. And all these massive US military ships that you see are made by this company. Nuclear submarines are made by this company. Aircraft carriers are made by this company. So this is a very interesting company for you guys to look at if you want to have a look at it. It is again very interesting to keep in your radar because now also I've realized that in China has now gone very aggressive on shipbuilding and US has said that they want to go aggressive on shipbuilding as well. So this is something that you can definitely look at. Now, coming to space. Now, I kept telling you, right, that space is the next frontier. It is the next battlefield. A lot of people are ignoring this, but this is where the next game is going to be played, right? And Starlink tried to do this whenever there is a war, and Starlink tries to go there and give full coverage to US. And sometimes what happens is the other side comes to jam it. But there are some very interesting companies in the space. Now, why are military operations, heavily rely on satellites? It's one, because they get GPS navigation. Second, they have missile detection, they get communication, and they get beautiful surveillance from the top. And they can use this for their UAV systems and all of that, right? So a company that is actually doing really well here, there is a company called ASTS, okay? AST. It's actually called AST Mobile, but the ticker is ASTS Space Mobile, right? So look at this company. Again, let me go into one day. Again, guys, just for learning, learn as much as you can today. So this is ASTS. So they basically build space-based cellular broadband satellites. Okay, cellular broadband satellite. And recently they went up a lot because they got a lot of telecom partnerships, but also got a lot of government partnerships, right? And they are trying to do one thing where your phone, right? They are trying to directly get satellite to your phone. No more SIM card, eSIM, nothing. Direct phone to satellite connection, super fast. Something like what Starlink is trying to do with many things, but not on the phone. ASTS is trying to do direct space mobile kind of a system. And again, this is also doing really well. $26 billion market cap. So it's a small company. Coming down, look at the returns are obviously insane because it obviously, I told you, went up a lot because the revenue went from $12 million to $70 million, and their gross profit is also gone from $4 million to $37 million. Their EPS actually went down because they're still in loss right now. They're not making a lot of money. And this is something that is only the overhang with this because it's growing extremely fast. But again, it is a risky company because there's no P here, only because there is no way to benchmark it. But this is something that is, trying to do really well. Google is an early investor in this company as well. So that is why it is in the radar of many people. Apart from that, if you don't want to play a single company, let's say you're a little worried to play, you're saying, Shashank, can you tell me an ETF in US that covers all the space companies, whether it is satellite, launch systems, space infrastructure, space operators, satellite operators, launch companies, everything. There is a very interesting ETF that you can look at. It is called UFO ETF. Okay, UFO. These guys name it wonderfully, right? So this is the UFO ETF, as you can see here, doing very well because the whole theme, it is a long-term theme. India, mein, this theme has not even come. Don't even come close to satellite and all. We are still very far away from this. But this is a long-term theme that is playing out. And if you don't like playing the individual companies, then you can look at this as an ETF. It's a 0.75% expense ratio ETF. And this will only be doing well as long as the theme is doing well. If the theme doesn't do well, please understand that is the biggest risk of this entire ETF, where it has MDA Space, Planet Labs, Garmin, ASTS, Rocket Labs. Many people are very bullish on Rocket Labs. And this is the 1 year return 97%, 6-month return 28, 3-month 22, and now it's just consolidating. But this again is a very interesting place because nobody knows what will happen with space. And space economy is going to exceed $1 trillion by 2034. So this is going to be an interesting space to look at. But yeah, you have to give it time. Nothing happens overnight. And also, if you look at SpaceX is coming with their own IPO. So that again, if SpaceX comes in, then this ETF, a lot of companies will go into re-rating mode, and that again will do really well. Okay. Now, coming to the third part, which is AI. Okay, now if you know that a lot of people are using AI in military applications as well. So today what we're going to do is we are going to look at AI that are companies that are using AI in battlefield analysis, drone coordination, intelligent processing, cyber security. Now, one of the most obvious company we all know is Palantir. Beautiful company, nobody knows what it does. CIA operative company, right? But let's look at some other interesting companies as well, not the common ones. There is a company called Vertiv. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. It's called Vertiv Holdings. Let me show you this one day chart. Vertiv Holdings today is on the verge of another breakout. It is again doing really well. Now, Vertiv is basically data center cooling, power infrastructure, AI server environments. So that is something that they're doing right now, where they're working very well on this, and it is actually doing well. So if I go down, the market cap is 92 billion. So it is far higher than the previous companies I showed you at 16 to 20 billion. If you look at the returns, obviously returns are massive. And if you look at the growth rate, it has gone from $5 billion to $10 billion. So even though the growth is not as fast as the previous companies, this company is doing well, mainly because this company is actually profitable, right? Almost a 10% profit after tax margin. EPS has gone from 0.76 to 3.97, and it is continuing to grow because the whole data center theme is becoming even bigger right now over here, right? It is cash flow positive, 1.89 billion cash flow positive. So it looks very interesting. Only problem is it is very overvalued because everyone is talking about this company, right? Another proxy to this is photonics theme. This is again very interesting. So whether you talk about high speed fiber, optical interconnects, right? There are two stocks that are playing this theme because if you look at AI and they have to scale, they need these fiber optic networks, right? So one company that is doing well is called Light. You can check this out, Lumentum Holdings. Again, guys, only learning, don't buy and then tell me later Okay, this is very volatile also, so please be very careful. If you look at this, this is a company that is doing full turnaround, full comeback, right? $39 billion market cap right now. It's called Light Holdings, and it is doing very well in the last 1 year time frame. It has gone up 8x. Obviously, don't look at past versus future. The revenue is not gone up, but this is going up. Same way in India, there's Sterlite. You can check that. There's one more company in US. I forgot. There's one more AAOI. Applied Opto Electronics. So again, this is a very interesting company. Same space. If the AI data center does well, this will also do well. It's a proxy, as you can see, optical fibers, lasers. Same in India. Sterlite does this. Again, I don't hold Sterlite, so don't think I hold all of these. 1 year return is 575. Growth definitely there, 2x over here. Growth. Income tax, little profit. Sorry, net income is in loss, so that is not looking great. But this is another company in the space that also has been doing well. Now, apart from this, there are some really other companies that I'll just put special mentions to. I don't want to go too deep because the video will become very long. But one is Nebius Group, NBIS, which works on AI cloud infrastructure, and a lot of big companies have taken stake in this. Next is a very nice company, GE Vernova. There's a similar company in India called GE Transmission. So this is GE Vernova, which is doing really well. If you see their chart, also very good chart, and they are again powering the entire AI data center race going forward as well. Right. So, as I said, this entire war situation that's going on right now. Good thing is that soldiers are not being used a lot like before, but in the future I'm pretty sure robots will go into war. I don't think they'll put humans at all. When people say feet on ground, I think robots will take over there, but till then we will have air power, drones, satellite, and AI. That will be the future of war. And I strongly hope that India starts beefing up all of these activities, because if we are not ready for the next war with this, then we will have a problem. But again, today was a very nice learning exercise. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys liked it. And if you have any more questions, any more doubts, you can put your comments below in this video. And I hope you guys learned something today. Right? Don't worry. Take care. Markets will eventually recover. But when the markets are down, me and you will keep learning as much as possible. Awesome. Thank you guys. Take care. See you. Bye bye.